Wolven is for anyone who subscribes to some sort of ethos of care. We like to say a lot that we want to be at the intersection of wellness of our minds, of our bodies, and our planet. So if you fit into any one of those categories, Wolven is for you.
Welcome to Style as Identity, a podcast by the Majority Group. Join us as we get to know the designers and founders who are shifting our understanding of the style status quo. We're your hosts. I'm Lola Catero.
And I'm Frankie Ikwuazom. Join us each episode as we learn from brands that are an extension of their values, identity, and aesthetic, and are super open about sharing the less talked about aspects of what they do. We're so glad you're here. So, what is climate positive?
No idea.
Me neither. And what does it have to do with our theme of price?
Got me.
Well, I guess it's kind of lucky that Amanda, co-founder of Wolven, is in the building with us today to talk about creating a climate positive brand and what it has to do with the allocation of her brand's resources.
Let's get into it.
Hey, Amanda.
Hi.
Hey.
It's so great to have you here.
Yeah, I'm
and
so excited.
We're pumped to talk about Wolven and what you've been up to. And so we always start with just trying to figure out who Wolven is for. So who is Wolven for?
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Wolven is a female-founded, sustainable fashion brand. We make all of our apparel out of recycled, reclaimed, sustainable fabrics. And really, Wolven is for anyone who subscribes to some sort of ethos of care. We like to say a lot that we want to be at the intersection of wellness of our minds, of our bodies, and our planet. So if you fit into any one of those categories, Wolven is for you. We allow people who are interested in sustainable fashion to get into that space in a more creative way. You know, we're moving beyond just sustainable fashion being about neutrals, moving beyond black, white, and beige. We offer our customer very creative, bold, and bright prints and cool graphic designs so that they can really express themselves, but also lean into sustainable fashion. So yeah, we're for a variety of different people who love creative expression and caring about the planet.
I never clocked that before, but it's true. Your patterns and prints could not be bolder.
Totally. Yeah, I think when you search sustainable legging, it's like you get 5 different black options, and we're kind of there to provide you with this new option. Like, of course, we have the black legging as well for anyone who wants that, but we like to view our clothing really as art first, and the power that art has to make a difference. And that's really important when it comes to just promoting our sustainable values, but also just promoting wellness values as well.
Yeah, it definitely plays a role in either sending a message or starting a conversation. So if you're doing either or both of those things with your clothes, I think it's a great gateway into what you're trying to get to be top of mind for everyone if possible.
Yeah, totally. Like, fashion is about expression. Like, we all wear clothes every day. Like, making a fashion statement can also be a bold statement about, you know, how we're taking care of our planet and our minds and our bodies, and just the things that your shirts say people are going to read. So it's important to think about, okay, what are you putting on those clothes and what are you presenting to the world?
One might say style as identity.
Ooh,
One might say that.
One could, in theory. All right, so let's back it up. Kiran founded Wolven nearly 10 years ago. You joined 3 years ago during this kind of time of transition as the product line is expanding. Brand wanted to go even deeper in sustainability, and you're also kind of gearing up for a fundraise. Now, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to Wolven, and not only to join the company, but become a co-founder.
Yeah, so prior to coming onto Wolven, I was actually in the climate advocacy space. So I went to school for environmental studies. I studied sociology. After graduation, I started working for environmental nonprofits. I was a climate advocate. So I worked with volunteers and legislators promoting climate action policies. And that work was inspiring to me, and I learned so much, but that work can get really tiring. And I worked on the 2020 election in Philadelphia, which was just a crazy time. And this was...
You don't say.
During the pandemic as well. So all organizing shift to be digital and online, which just is a challenge in itself. And so I got pretty burnt out from the work I was doing, but I didn't want to let that stop me from promoting the environmental values I really cared about. So I was like, I want to make a shift and do something a little bit more creative. Like, I've always been an artist at heart. I've always loved the power of art and activism to promote powerful ideas. So I was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job. Decided to teach myself graphic design, took an online course. I actually opened up my own online design studio with the hope of doing like graphics and arts for sustainable businesses or nonprofits. And it was along that path that I actually found Wolven. I literally found them on Instagram, and I just like instantly was drawn to the mission, to the products, to the designs, to the branding and everything. I was like, oh my God, this is like everything I've dreamt of. Like, this exists. Like, this is what I wanted to be a part of. So I literally DM'd Wolven on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I just quit my job. I am teaching myself graphic design. Can I like do something for you? Like, can I work for you guys? And that just cascaded into me coming on part-time and then full-time. And given my background in sustainability, I initially started off just doing more like graphic design work, and then naturally just started taking on more sustainability projects, working with our team. And we were at this really pivotal time with the company that we were really transforming. We were trying to grow the team. We were interested in developing new products. So it was a great time for me to join and really step into a leadership position, then eventually becoming a co-founder and now our chief of staff to really lead our team into this new chapter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that the through line that's always been kind of guiding how you spend your time, what I've always found is that we kind of have in our minds like one or two versions of what that could look like. But the idea of just like quitting your job and still being open to all the different ways you could contribute in that way, even if it didn't look the same, you're doing something new in a new way, but you're still kind of driving home on what your internal mission is.
Like, you knew what your purpose was, like what you wanted to focus on. And even though we often hear about you're either working for a for-profit or a nonprofit, and that means that this is X, but there's a lot of different combinations. So if you're focused on achieving what you want to work on and your passion and following that, it has opened up so many different ways to do that.
Yeah, there's so many different forms.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And it's something I really learned. I mean, just being open to that new possibility. And like at first, my plan was just to gain skills for myself from working at Wolven. Like I loved the mission. I supported it. So I was like, hey, I'm here. I'm on board for this. I want to learn what I can. And then I'll kind of see what's next for me, because I didn't really have like that direct path of like, here's the job title I want, but I knew what I cared about. And then just coming on board the team and seeing the great work that was being done, it opened my mind to really understanding that sustainable businesses can have a really big impact on environmental values. And that's something that I truly didn't really believe or understand before.
Yeah. So we're going to get more into that.
Yeah.
The theme is price. So we definitely want to talk a bit about like resources. As you've been developing Wolven as a brand, what resources did you have and how did you use those to get Wolven up and running? And or even how did you use those to pivot more to achieve what Wolven's mission is? And then in that, something that comes a lot with price or with just thinking through resources is that we sometimes have to make decisions that benefit our resources versus benefit our like values. So we'd love to hear a bit of how you've continued to keep Wolven's values at the center of what you do, even when you have to make some of those decisions.
Totally. Yeah. I just love this whole concept because I think just as a sustainable brand, that's like number one. It's all about compromise. It's all about like, okay, we have these values and this mission, but of course we're also a business that needs to grow. And Wolven, when it was initially founded and created, was a festival brand. So it was founded just vending at yoga and music festivals, specifically Wanderlust Yoga. And really a lot of the resources for the first few years of development were geared towards just building that organic community and just going around and meeting people in real life, establishing the brand, meeting people who would come into our community and support it. So like connecting with photographers and models and yogis and people who aligned with the values and were down to help support the brand. So we had people who were met at these festivals, vending in the booth, selling the products to other people all around the world. So a lot of the early stage resources were really just about growing that organic community, which was really beautiful and actually has lent to Wolven being this very community-oriented brand with very loyal customers. Like if you meet some of our Wolven customers who've been around since early inception, they are like loyal. They love the product. They maybe have met someone at an event who was selling it, and they're just here for it because of that like in real life connection that that takes a lot of time and deserves a lot of respect. And I think now that we are a more established brand, like we do have a cult following, the allocation has really shifted to advertising to new people. So getting new people into our scope, like maybe people who aren't attending music festivals or yogis, maybe they're more like fashion influencers or people who aren't typically in that space, trying to get our message out there, like either on social media or in real person events in Los Angeles and New York, just trying to get more people into our network. But I think a lot of the shift of resources has really come down to building our core team. As a small sustainable brand that's been through many shifts and changes, team is obviously everything. So since I've came onto the team, and really what a big focus of mine has been finding people and hiring them and training them and building them to really believe in what we're building. And I think that's really where we're at now too, as we're looking to grow, where we're trying to find like, okay, where are our gaps and holes? Like we have less than 10 people on our team. We're all wearing like many hats. We're all doing like everything. Like, so it's really about like finding people who, one, are committed to our mission, and then two, have these higher level niche skills that can help us like get to this higher level, instead of like, you know, if you're doing everything, you're a jack of all trades but a master of none, maybe a master of few. But now we're really looking into getting those top tier skilled people into our network.
So early days, it sounds like your resources, both time and money, went towards building that community, and now has shifted to, you have this reliable, loyal community, expanding beyond that target audience. And also using that to level up the team. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think those two last points kind of go hand in hand, because as we're leveling up the team, we can also do more to expand our community. So like, you know, getting more influencer marketing programs up and running, like improving our affiliate marketing program, expanding our B2B business, and getting into more retailers outside of just yoga studios, like getting into resort and all these different locations. So kind of like growing our team and specializing our skills as we're expanding into new markets.
Yeah.
Another thing that's really exciting about where we're at now is that we're also developing new product. We're moving even beyond just apparel. We're actually developing some new sustainable products like yoga mats, affirmation cards, therapeutic neck wraps, and things like that. So we're kind of in a way shifting back to square one of development, because we've kind of like, we've got our apparel. We are introducing new styles of apparel as well, always, naturally, right? Fun stuff coming. But now we're entering an entirely new sphere of products we've never made before. So we're kind of back to ideation square one. We have this opportunity to use these products to get those new people into our network. Like if you're interested in a yoga mat, and you maybe haven't been connected with us before, you find the yoga mat, you come to us, and then maybe you'll check out our apparel too. So it's kind of this like ecosystem that's all connected and happening at once.
Feeding the whole user's lifestyle.
Yes. Yeah.
What insights go into what you develop next?
It's customer feedback. Our customers for a while have been asking, okay, when are you going to make a yoga mat, right? Like a lot of them are into that space, and we've been marketing yoga clothes for a while.
So you make those decisions kind of based on demand, but also I think it's going back to your ethos of care in terms of who Wolven is for. There were 3 tenets within that, like mind, body, planet. So it sounds like you're now able to, now that you have that foundational community, like explore some of those other ways that care can take shape.
We've talked a lot about sustainability. Your commitments and public commitments have gone deeper levels than other brands. One case in point is you all have made this commitment to collect 60,000 pounds of ocean-bound plastic waste, and you've partnered with reputable entities like Clean Hub to prevent plastic from entering oceans. So since you've collected, what are you at, 57,000 now?
Yeah, now total, probably a little bit more. That was since our last impact report back in April. So
you might, do you think you're at, well, you're getting close
We're
to
getting
that
close
60.
to the goal. It's estimated by the end of this year.
Wow.
Hopefully can surpass, actually.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Invite us to the party. How did you plan out like what you needed to invest in this like pretty grandiose commitment in order to meet your goals, and something that has taken years to come to fruition?
Yeah. So our partnership with Clean Hub is phenomenal. They're great. They're such an awesome partner to work with, and they're so aligned with our sustainability ethos. And the beautiful thing about this partnership is that it's directly aligned with the success of our business, because the way the partnership works is that for every order, we remove 1 pound of ocean-bound plastic in partnership with Clean Hub. So it's directly tied to the amount of orders that we're generating. So when we're setting these goals for the year ahead, we take a look at our past order history, our order volume. But then we also like to set goals in terms of just like how much impact we want to make, right? If this is how many orders we got last year, like hopefully our business will grow, we'll be able to scale so we can commit to removing even more plastic. And then of course, bumping up that bar a little bit higher to make more of an impact as well. So it's a really great thing having a partnership like that where the sustainability goals are directly aligned with the growth of the business, which is typically not the case. Right. So.
And can any brand do this?
Yeah. Clean Hub works with hundreds of brands all around the world. They're based in Germany, and we partner with them specifically on a project based in Cambodia. But it's a worldwide network. I suggest people check it out if they're interested, for sure.
Yeah. How do you realize your collection financially without compromising your values?
So I think a really great resource to point at is our impact reports, which we just started doing in 2022. So we only just released our second annual report this year. But the reports themselves, since developing it, have been just such a helpful framework for us internally to track, what our goals are and how we're achieving them. A popular quote within the sustainable community is you can't manage it unless you measure it. So the impact reports are a great way for us to see like, okay, what's up? What are we doing? How could we be better? All of that. And I think that helps us, budget out what type of impact we can financially make without compromising our values, because we're seeing the scale at which we're contributing. So with the partnership like Clean Hub, we can see like how many, it's directly tied to the amount of orders that we're generating, right? So that allows us to like scale up or down our commitment. But with other partnerships, such as, offsetting your carbon emissions, that just inherently costs money because you have to pay for carbon credits. And if you have a down year, but you're still, maybe generating a similar amount of carbon, it could be harder for you to offset those emissions. So it's about just knowing what your impact is first, and then being able to like pull your levers where you can like maybe give a little bit more and maybe pull back a little bit. But overall, you're still on this journey of supporting sustainable initiatives.
And Climate Week, you have an announcement.
Yes, we just launched our new climate capsule earlier this week, which is an addition to our previous sustainable streetwear capsule Metamorphosis, a new style, the climate graphic, and along with the new styles, we became climate positive this week.
Oh, wait, talk to us about what climate positive means.
Yeah, climate positive, buzzwordy, I know, but it's really important and it's really exciting. What climate positive means, we achieved this goal with our partners at EcoCart. They're a great partner which traditionally allows our customers at checkout to make their orders carbon neutral. So, you go on our site, you add something to cart, you check out, you have the option to make your order carbon neutral, which just means you're offsetting the carbon emissions that it requires to ship your product to you, right? What we're doing now with EcoCart is actually doubling that impact at checkout. So raising the price only slightly for the customer, just by like $1
shipping?
or $2. Yes. And it's an added adjustment to the normal shipping costs, but we've essentially just doubled it to make their order climate positive. So they're not only just offsetting, but they're now donating even more back to the project that we're supporting, which is the El Hijito project in Mexico. And yeah, we've seen too, the just bumping up the donation has not adjusted the amount of people who are selecting that option, which is great. So it shows that people care and they're down to pay a little bit more to do something good.
So are there other ways to become climate positive? Tell me more about that.
This is our way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways you could do it. It's really just about going beyond your business's carbon footprint. So if you emit like 100 pounds of CO2 a year and you offset 100, carbon neutral. If you then give back 100 more pounds by like investing in forest projects or whatever it is, that's you doing more to not just offset, but go beyond it.
Got it. Okay. So the brand produces emissions. You collaborate with partners like EcoCart to then plant trees, do initiatives to offset the emissions that you produce as a brand.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You also source the materials that go into your clothes differently too, right?
With the climate capsule specifically, it's created with 100% reclaimed waste cotton. It's all manufactured locally in Los Angeles. Of course, that comes at a higher price point, right? Reclaimed waste cotton is not a cheap fabric, but it's a durable one. It's really high quality. So it allows us to sell our clothes at a higher price point for a more high quality product, which then helps us have a margin for when we're investing in more sustainable fabrics.
You want a margin? Weird.
Yeah, we are a business. We have a margin, but we care about the planet too. So it's about finding the fabrics that resonate with us and meet our standards, and then finding ways to hand it out to our community.
Right. Yeah. And for this collection specifically, but also for other ones too, like how do you determine what the retail price should be, especially given all these other partnerships and efforts that are happening in the background? For the climate capsule collection specifically, you kind of allow the consumer to take on some of that price. And it makes sense because a lot of your consumers are people who are bought in on the mission already. But generally, what do you think of when you think through like, all right, I'm about to put this in the hands of the customer. How do I start to figure out how much it should cost?
This is a question that is just always asked, right? Like, what's the true cost of a shirt? Like when you think about all the labor that goes into it, the shipping and everything, it's more than just the shirt itself. We really subscribe to that ideology of clothing has a price. So sustainable clothes do cost more for a reason. Then there's that issue of accessibility, which I can address in a moment. But I think when we're determining our prices, I mean, first we just look at the baseline for where we're sourcing, right? Like for our new climate capsule, if we're sourcing it at one price, trying to like at least 2x that for retail. But we do a lot of competitor research. So we look at what our competitors may be selling their products for outside of the sustainability space too. So a non-sustainable version of our shirt may retail for like $88 or something like that. And then we kind of factor in, okay, we have just as quality of a product, if not maybe higher quality. So we can kind of like up the price from our non-sustainable competitors because it's something that matters. And there was a lot more care and intention and process and sourcing that went into actually developing it.
And one of your core collections, yoga apparel and athletic apparel, how have you built those pieces to balance accessibility, sustainable materials, as well as the design or executing on your vision for the aesthetic?
Our main line of yoga activewear, swimwear is made from RPT. It's a recycled bottle blend with spandex, which early on was kind of one of the only real options for sustainability sourcing other than like linen or cotton. But of course, activewear, you need to have
a little stretch,
a little odor resistant materiality there. So the RPT is actually a great option for that. And it has become a more competitive price option compared to other sustainable fabrics. So that price is a little bit more competitive to like, non-recycled polyester, but there is that added cost of it being sustainable. So we manufacture in China. They're verified with the workplace conditions assessment. So they're paying their laborers certified fair wages and all of that. And that is the kind of like higher price point that's baked into the RPT fabric itself. Even if the fabric is cost competitive with, a regular polyester blend, it's the labor that is also of higher quality and justifies higher price point. I do want to talk about accessibility because while sustainable clothes do come at a higher price for all of these reasons we talked about, accessibility is real and we shouldn't gatekeep people from getting involved in buying sustainable fashion. So there's ways that we're trying to experiment with offering like high-low models of our products. So if we have a $98 legging on our site, but then maybe we're retailing to a supplier, maybe a larger box store or something that we could offer at a lower price point, that same legging for maybe $58. So working with our B2B retailers to offer these models is a great way to get other people in the door, while also still offering like our more like sustainable luxury pricing like on our online store.
You've talked about the future of fashion being circular. Those are your words, or at least words on your website.
Yeah.
So someone on your team. And we loved seeing the Wolven Pre-Loved part of your sales that you have in partnership with, is it Treat?
Yes.
Cool. Treat. Yeah. So you kind of enable consumers to sell their woven pieces and buy from others. And towards the beginning of this, we were talking about things lasting. And I think there's one aspect of you keeping your things. And there's another aspect of making sure its life lasts, even if you're not the one keeping it, and doing so responsibly. So how did you get this up and running, or how did the Wolven team get it up and running? And we've talked a little bit about determining prices for things that you're selling straight up or through B2B. Did you have a hand in, although Treat manages payments and disbursements, did you inform how the pre-loved pieces are generally priced?
Yeah, totally. I love that question because resale is becoming such a huge thing within the fashion community, and circularity is the future. It really is. But yeah, with Treat, they're a phenomenal partner. We were an early adopter of their resale platform, and it was really hands off. I'd say, like, if you're a founder out there who's looking to get involved in circularity, Treat is a great platform because they really set up your secondhand marketplace for you and alongside you as well. So our resale site is fully operated on their platform. We have the ability to customize, the look and feel of it. And then in terms of pricing, we get to decide what we're offering our customers for incentives to participate in resale. So right now we offer 110% store credit for the peer-to-peer program, or an option to have 80% cash back.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I don't make that on the real.
Join Treat.
Yep.
They've got a marketplace.
I'm going to check that out.
It's great. And we get to determine that. And they also help guide us with the peer-to-peer pricing model. They have market research that they look at to guide, like, if someone uploads a legging that's been worn, maybe it's gently used, maybe it's missing a tag, whatever the defect is, they help gauge what the price should be based on, okay, why is it on the resale platform? Is it faded, or is there a hole? What is it? They help determine the price.
That's cool. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Me too.
Yeah. One question on my mind before we wrap up is, what is something you have left behind, like a product or a piece or something else, that you've done the math and you're like, we can't make this without either sacrificing margin, which we need to exist, or to do it sustainably or within our values?
So 2 examples are kind of coming to mind. The first is, right now we are developing, like I mentioned, hard goods.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the process of developing a yoga mat, which has been a long time coming. It's something our customers really want, and we want to hit the market with, like, the best of the best, right? It's got to be sustainable. It's got to be functional. And it's got to be able to, there's a lot of science that goes into it. Like, for us, we're known for our prints and our graphics. So we want to be able to display our artwork on a yoga mat and really make it something special. So there's all this science that goes into the ability to, like, okay, are we dyeing it? Are we heat pressing? So there's all these processes that you have to think about, and they're all varying prices. Some are very expensive, some are not. But when it comes to the sourcing of the material for products like this, that gets really tricky. Like, for example, we were working with this company that just developed this brand new technology for sustainable, bio-based, no plastic, which is historically what most yoga mats are made out of, offering us to be in the trial run of samples for it. And we were so excited. They've been working years on it. It's the same type of material that the Patagonia, like, windbreaker essentially is made out of. They've helped to develop this technology for big leading brands. It's tested, all that. We were so pumped about it. We got the sample, it was physically great, but the margin was just shocking. It was just undoable for us. It was just too expensive. So we weren't able to go with that option, which ideally would be great for us because it's based in material science, which is really what we focus on. So for us, we've had to put that in our back pocket and say, okay, great, you're just developing this. Like, when you're a little further down the road, like, let's chat. Like, we want to help you develop this, but it just doesn't make sense for us now. So we are sourcing other options. So I think that that's disheartening in ways, because you're like, oh, we want to do the coolest thing, right? But it's just technology catching up with itself.
What you did is that you didn't really seek necessarily perfection in that, but you were able to say, like, how can we still put this in our back pocket and figure out what of this we can still do in a way that doesn't cost us our margin. So
definitely. Yeah. And I think just another quick example too of that kind of idea of compromise or sacrifice. We were just recently working on developing a new sweatsuit. So, like, a zip up hoodie.
Is it a onesie or no?
No,
it sounds
it's
like
a sweatpant, like a sweat set.
I love a onesie. So maybe
we should pivot.
I'm one customer. Definitely ask around.
We'll make you a one-off limited edition. I'll put that in the notes.
This still sounds sick though.
Yeah, it's on the list now. But yeah, it's what set, and we're really excited about it. But it was approaching fall season. We're like, okay, if we're launching a sweat set, it's got to be like now or never. So our timeline was a little rushed. We didn't have time to fully develop our own style, but we found these blanks that we were really interested in. That we're sustainably sourced, 100% certified cotton, and they were offering it at this unbeatable price, very low, on sale, limited color options, but it was there and limited supply. So
did your spidey senses go off? You're like, is this like sushi on sale?
So kind of, but at the same time, I was sitting there with our CEO, and we were on the computer. We were like, do we jump on this? Like, And like our first thought was, okay, the margin will be incredible.
Yep.
Check.
Which like check. And then 2, like, okay, it's sustainably sourced. Obviously check. So let's do it. Add to cart. Let's go. Let's develop this. We're so excited. Like, let's make it happen. And then we started developing the artwork. We started trying it on. We started sampling it and like modifying it, all that stuff.
So you bought it.
Yeah, we did. And then put a lot of energy into like putting together this artwork for this sweat collection. And it was just so rushed. It was so, we hadn't thought it through. We didn't have the artwork planned out beforehand. You know, we didn't know the styles beforehand. It was just like in the moment buying something. And after like a few weeks of development, we were getting ready to, like a week before launch, this kind of like, I don't want to say half-assed, but a product that we had been working on but wasn't quite fitting right. It was like getting ready to be launched, and we just pumped the brakes. We had to be like, no, like this is not how we design. This is not the
Didn't
ethos.
meet your standards.
Yeah, it just wasn't it. And it was hard to let go because you do put in time and stress and late nights and driving around. And it was ultimately the right choice to be like, okay, we just need to stop on this project. Like, even if the margin is there, which it just was not the quality or the...
You compromise your brand perception.
Yes, for the price.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel right inside. So we stopped that project. And that was a lesson because it really taught me, like, just don't rush. Even if it all seems like, okay, we can make money off of this, it's just, if it doesn't align with your values, it's not going to come to fruition.
And you didn't make a decision out of the pressure of a sunk cost, which
Yes.
I feel like in situations like that is a hard thing to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so that was a huge learning lesson for us. And I think now, I mean, intention is the number one thing when it comes to sustainability and sustainable design. And I think it's at the forefront now that we've been there at that point where we weren't being intentional. We were just like kind of moving through fast and furious. And now we move at a little bit of a different pace, which is, I think, great.
I think it's great too. Amanda, you carried the spirit of Wolven, brought it to the mic, brought it to the room, and we are so glad to have caught you, especially on Climate Week. Thank you for prioritizing time together with us. We're super excited for what Wolven is up to next, and I know our listeners will learn a lot from some of your shared behind-the-scenes experiences.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. It's been awesome chatting, and I mean, this whole week has been so inspiring, and I honestly couldn't imagine wrapping up in a better way. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Damn, I love these brands.
Same. I mean, I love that they're just into getting on a podcast and having a very real conversation about what's enabled their brand to survive.
I love it. Okay, let's keep learning together. And all you out there, if it's in your journey to make a purchase today, check out some of the brands we've been talking to.
And if it's in your journey to show us some love, hit that subscribe button.
See you next time.
Bye.